welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market Garden Shorts, where today we're talking about this lovely specimen here with the Stick of Destiny. So, what is this? I mean, look at those lovely blooms. Let's zoom in a little bit. Oh yeah, look at that. There's something, aren't they? Yeah. Well, these lovely specimens here that you see, their scientific name is Angelonia angustifolia, or commonly called Angelonia for short. Because, I mean, with a name like Angelonia, rolls off the tongue. I mean, why do you need to call it anything else? Well, it has another common name, and we'll get to that in a moment, but Angelonia is in the Plantagenaceae family, which means it's related to plantains. You know, the broadleaf plantain, the buckhorn plantain, those things in your lawn. Who knew? I mean, plantains are incredibly utilitarian looking, whereas this is just fabulous. I mean, look at these flowers. They're just shooting out everywhere. Well, would you believe that this thing is native to Mexico and South America in general? So it is a native plant, which is kind of impressive. It is hardy in USDA zones 9 through 11, where it is a perennial, and it is an annual in 8 through 1, though most of us just treat it as an annual, as it is commonly in the annual section at the garden center. Its soil pH preference is 5.5 to 6.2, and its exposure preference is full sun to partial sun, but partial shade. However, it prefers more on the full sun, depending on what kind of sun you're getting. Full morning sun seems to work best. I have not tested it in blazing hot afternoon sun yet. Its height can be 1 foot to 1.5 feet, and its width can be 9 inches to 1 foot. So with these specimens, that is conceivably possible. It's not a bad-looking plant, it's just a little bit different. Now, while we're getting into that, let's zoom out for a second. There we go. Its other name is Summer Snapdragon, and I guess I can see the resemblance, though it doesn't have the snapping dragon flower. And honestly, since Snapdragons are a perennial in our climate, and they bloom in the summer, honestly, I would prefer to call the actual Snapdragons the Summer Snapdragons, because this is different. This, in 8A, is not a perennial, where Snapdragons will last years, easily, and will self-sow if given half the chance. This probably will not. Now, what's interesting is that the leaves and the flowers are fully edible, and it's not toxic to dogs or cats, so it's one of those things where a certain yowler that is famous on this channel were to come on camera and chew on it, it would be fine. You can actually use the little flowers to add to garnishes, or stick the flower stalks in small bouquets to decorate your table. So there's that. As far as plants go, it's basically, it follows the same rule as most plants. Simple potting soil will be sufficient. You do, here comes trouble. Dun 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 dun. Yep, it's Niblet. Yeah, he's up to no good, as always. Cat butt. Anyway, so as I was saying, basic potting soil is sufficient. These ones have not outgrown their pots, even though they were moved up to these square 3-inch peat pots at the same time as the Sriracha Rose Kufia. The Sriracha Rose Kufia dry out almost every day at this point, whereas these guys seem to hold up longer, which is interesting. That means they're a little more, they're not as thirsty, which is a good thing. Their growth rate is also not as fast, which is also a good thing. You will have to deadhead them to maintain flower growth once they reach the end of the flower spike. But they are, I should also note, they are available in a variety of colors that Snapdragons, true Snapdragons, are not. I've seen blues, I've seen pinks, well, Snapdragons are available in pink, but I've seen purples, I've seen sort of mauve colors. I believe there's white, which, you know, but they're more into the blue tones, so you get an extra level of color. Snapdragons, by comparison, just general, like the Liberty hybrids, can get huge comparatively. So think of them as a daintier version of Snapdragons that can tolerate summer heat better and not stress out. And you have the idea. As for fertilizing these guys, I would just recommend a balanced fertilizer, nothing too fancy, because all they need is regular water and maybe a fertilizing once or twice a month to get optimal growth. They're good on containers because, again, they're a good neighbor. They're not aggressive. They won't take over. They're not invasive. There are no underground runners. There's not seed that's going to come up all willy-nilly. They're good for just about everything. So, with that said, that covers everything you need to know about Angelonia, which is a very easy plant. As far as I know, they don't really get pests. The specimens in the test garden have not even a little bit. So there's that. So, with that said, if you have any thoughts on how to grow Angelonia, you've grown them, your experiences, I'd love to hear it. Put that in the comments section. If you like this episode, please hit like. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. It helps the channel. Helps the channel grow. It's fertilizer for the channel. Yeah, I know, cheap advertisement there. In the video description, you'll find a link to the blog where you can see all kinds of stuff about forage foods. And beyond that, thank you for watching, and as always, folks, keep them growing.